Matt, I noticed you got your optics on these guns here, and which is something. I met you a couple years ago. You were shooting mainly iron sights, and now I see you moved to the optics.
Yes, absolutely. I sort of made my living in CDP for a long time, which was iron sight 45 gun. Optics are the coming wave, not only with law enforcement but with concealed carry, personal self-defense, optics on pistols. We joke. Just did an A-post course, Alabama Peace Officer Standard Training course, and it's all about transitioning to the red dot. I remarked that the class is doomed for extinction, and they said, "What do you mean?" And I said, probably within 5 to 10 years, the new recruits coming up will be like, "You had to have a class on how to shoot it? It's so easy." But
Right.
but for the guys that are used to looking at a set of notch and post sights, there's a different learning curve. It's a different brain mapping, and there's a lot of things out there that are changing now. But it is better. It is faster, and I think eventually you're going to get to where almost every defense gun that you see probably is going to have a dot of some sort on it.
But the question I have though is, we're talking about concealed carry,
Mm-hmm.
and from the concealed carry perspective, does that red dot, the RMRs or anything like that, do they get hung up or anything in the way, or because we were talking about the coming out quick and getting on target. So how does that work with this in concealed carry environment?
Not really for me. I mean, this is my work gun. It's also a lot of my personal carry gun. This is a Nighthawk GRP Recon. It has our iOS system, which is an interchangeable optics system, so I can pull this off within just a couple of minutes, or less than a minute, and slide a rear side on. But I work with this gun. The only thing I do different is, if I'm wearing it openly, I'll use like a Safariland ALS holster with a light on it.
Right.
But otherwise, I just carry it concealed, and
Okay.
I'll use an appendix carry holster most of the time, and I carry it everywhere. So even wear it to church. So,
Okay. Yeah.
so.
Awesome. Well, can you explain to us, a little bit about that draw stroke coming up out of concealed?
Sure.
And especially like the appendix carry, because that seems to be where a lot of folks are moving to as far as the personal defense type of
Absolutely. Well, traditionally with a set of iron sights, we continued on with a target focus instruction, and basically we taught to take the gun and come actually from a lower position. We called it touch point 2, which was like mid-chest area right here. So your draw stroke was usually on this side here was touch point 1, touch point 2, or a high compressed ready that was up kind of in the middle of the chest right here. And then as we presented toward the target, and imagine that this did not have an optic on it, and imagine that my target was somewhere in here, and I'm exaggerating this of course, but if my eye was here, my target was there, I presented the gun up so that the first thing that intersected my line of vision was the front sight. And of course this is greatly exaggerated for the purpose of the camera. But if imagine the line going this way, I presented so that this was the first thing that intersected my line of vision to the target, and then as I completed that presentation, I looked through the rear sight at the target and saw the front sight obstruct that line of vision. Okay. And of course that's greatly exaggerated. It was only a slight elevation, just enough to get the front sight a little higher than the rear sight.
Right.
Okay. With the dot, if I do that as I'm presenting toward the target with the line of vision going this way, as I do that, I will never see the dot until right there. Whereas if my line of vision is here and I can bring the optic up into that line of vision and press it out, then I pick the dot up faster.
So you are bringing the gun up. Your touch point 2 would be up a little higher as you're pushing out.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
So actually the gun, and one of the things that we use kind of as a training tip, when we're teaching guys to do this is to actually take, traditionally we teach touch point 2 of hand goes to the center of the chest, hand goes to the gun. So this would be a traditional one. Now what we begin to start teaching is actually bring this hand up. And we actually blade the hand up so it's actually under the chin, so that when this gun comes up, it comes up high into my line of vision. And of course I over-exaggerated that.
Sure.
And we're going to smooth it out a little bit.
Okay.
But for when you're learning to do that, I pick that dot up so much faster when I'm doing that, because I make my presentation toward the target. The next thing we do is, of course, we bracket the target with the optic. So I'm looking at the target and I'm bringing this up so that I can see the target through the optic, and I bracket the optic on the target. And in doing so, all I have to do is just refine. See the splash of red or green across the target, and I'm good to go.
Awesome. Okay.
On the target.
Can you show us a couple runs on
Sure,
that?
sure, I can.
Awesome.
We'll do some with each of them right there, and then we'll make some preparations, do a little bit of adjustment, and then we'll go hot and shoot a little still.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks.
Okay. So what we're talking about here is a presentation of the gun. So we're bringing the gun up high. We're going to press out. So we're drawing from a concealed carry from an appendix holster. So there's a couple of different ways to do that. One of the best ways is just to reach and grab the garment. Notice how high I'm pulling it. Then my draw stroke and my hand finds hand, and I press it out and I make the shot. Right as I get to extension, the dot was already there and I get a good shot. So again, at a little better speed, it would look like here. I'm in a defensive posture. Then I reach and I clear the garment, hand comes down, and there's my shot. Okay? So putting it all together here, defensive posture down here, either where I'm using my hands as a defensive stroke, like that, clear, hand comes up high, and there's my shot. Okay? Yep. So the principle that I'm working from here is bringing the gun up high as I can into my face. And whereas we used to make the draw stroke right here, for this non-dominant hand went to the center of our chest, and we brought it up and hand find hand, and we would push toward the target that way. Now we're actually beginning to teach this hand even up higher, so that hand comes to hand. So even up to the point of actually touching and flagging under the bottom of the chin, the hand comes up, push straight forward. That allows us to bring the gun up higher into our line of vision and push toward the target and actually see the shot. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Tracking? Good.
Tracking.
So as we begin to talk about this right here, we're looking at the best way to learn to bring that gun up high. And we're not going to work from the holster, but the best way to learn any drill or any new manipulation like that is just like in any martial art, is you break it down in pieces. Okay, so you don't learn the entire kata all at once, right? You learn pieces of it, right? And so the draw stroke or the presentation is the same way. So one of the things that we begin to teach here with students is to bring that support hand up just as high as they can, and then they bring the gun up to that support hand and actually begin to push that gun out until they see the dot. You should see the dot way before you get to full extension, because you're bringing the gun up high into the eye level. So your eye level being here, you're looking through the optic, okay? Now the converse of that would be if you just collapse back into the standard ready position that you would normally do with a set of iron sights, your presentation would come like this. And do you see that you don't see the dot? Little pun there. Do you see that you don't see the dot until you're right at full extension? If you do that, you won't see the dot until you actually bring the muzzle down. Do you see?
Yes. I see
Okay.
what you're saying.
Now if you collapse that back and go back to this high ready position, like pressing out from the nose, which would mimic by doing that, you're actually picking the dot up probably somewhere about right there.
Right here is where I got it.
About midway through the presentation, and as you lock in, you have already begun to track the dot in. Now your focus is on the target, but you are looking through the ocular window with both eyes open using your binocular vision, so that even if I cover the front of this, go ahead and present toward the target, so even if I present this and I cover the front of that,
Yep.
you can still see that dot on the top of that target. And one of the techniques that we use oftentimes is to put a piece of painter's tape across the front of it to occlude the front of that window, and that forces you to use that binocular vision in the target focus. Okay? See that presentation?
I do.
Okay. When you're comfortable with it, send it. Good shot. Excellent. Okay, now the one thing that we need to make sure that we do, okay, and this is a training scar that we can get into, you have a great presentation. So go up high, make that presentation, make the shot. Now, get a second sight picture right there before you come off that position, okay? Because we don't want to develop a training scar of pressing out one shot and pressing back, okay?
Okay.
All right, so present, follow through, good. And we're looking at Jeff Gonzalez with Trident Concepts. I stole this saying from him: always check your work through your sights. We always check our work through our sights. So that's whether we're using iron sights or a dot. We're looking for that last sight picture to see if we need another shot.
Matt, I just want to thank you again for coming out today. You know, I've been out to your place at the Alabama Pistol Academy, and I tell you, I've learned so much from you. In the few times that I've been out there, and when I say few, was it 4 or 5 times now, and I plan on coming back. So trust me on that. But I want to share that you have a unique way of talking to people that, you know, it's really easy to learn. You take the time. You address individual needs when it comes to shooting. For anybody who's interested in it, I would highly recommend it because, like I said, you've done a lot for my shooting ability, plus motivated me to get to that next level. Case in point, we went to a competition just 2 weekends ago, and I think you were 50-some seconds ahead of me. As far as I was like, what the heck? And I thought I was doing pretty good. But anyways, I enjoy shooting with you. I enjoy learning from you. And if somebody wanted to get with you, to get some classes, and you know, what can they do to get a hold of you?
There's several ways to contact me. You can just you can email me adpa.biz. Our website really needs a lot of work right now, but my name also ALShotist. That's ALSHOTIST at yahoo.com. So there's one of my emails. Of course, the adpa.biz is Matt at adpa.biz is usable. Facebook is an easy way to, and of course always one of the easiest ways is just give me a call. Put my number out there. It's area code 256-613-0009. It's 256-613-0009. If I don't answer, send me a text, send me a message, or leave me a message. I do get back. I do a lot of group classes. I do a lot of private classes, semi-private classes, families, pretty much the whole gamut. We teach everything from absolute beginner pistol, I don't know how to load the gun, to the advanced vehicle defense classes with the guys doing all the shooting through the windshields and everything like that. We teach defensive carbine and defensive shotgun, and even do some force-on-force training, do some things like that. So building, clearing, things like that, probably maybe not a skill that you use that much, but one that's nice to have and put in there. But
awesome.
About the only thing we don't do is long-range precision, and we send our students that need hand-to-hand skills, we send them to you. So.
Well, I appreciate that. But a personal testament. I've been, like I said, I've trained on a private lesson basis with Matt several times now, and I'll tell you what, he's really upped my game. Not only that, just the motivation and the way he explains things is just I can't compete with that. So Pleasure knowing you, sir.
Absolutely.
I look forward to, you know, to our future together. And
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right. Thank you very much.